So that for everyone who's just entered, you should see a link in the chat and also on the screen that tells you to go to that, and where you will find the second link down is a link to our labs we're going to be using for this class. You can open it either in another browser or download the PDF, whichever you'd like. We're going to be kind of referencing it as we go. So if you have multiple monitors, maybe open it on one, or maybe make your window half the size so you can be following along. We'll go ahead and move to the next one. I do have that link still, and we'll keep putting it in. What I'd like to do, so we have a sense of sort of what we're doing. This is a smaller group, which is awesome. Maybe more will join. Also, if you could open up a browser or on your phone or anywhere, go to slideu.com and put in this code V856. We're going to do just a very quick poll just so we have a sense of where we want to go here today. Post the link for those just joining again. For those seeing it over and over, unfortunately, Zoom does not keep it for those who join late. All right, so hopefully you've joined the Slideu. If not, that code will still be there. So I've opened it up. So if you could answer if you currently have a BI desktop, yes, no, or I don't know. You don't have to, it's not a requirement, so that's just so we can get a sense of our audience here today. So for those who just joined, if you go to slideu.com, V856 is the code, and a quick yes, no, or I don't know. My guess is if you don't know, you don't have it, which is good. Also, I'll paste here in the Slack a link that you'll want to go to where we're going to have a lab that we're going to follow. So I'll go to the next question. Having a BI desktop is one thing. And then the question is, do you have Alteryx already? It was mentioned in the thing, so, but you don't have to have it to do the class. Just gives us a sense there's no wrong answer. You don't need Alteryx to do this class. We are going to have sort of two tracks within the class. We just want to get a sense of who we have here today so we sort of know what to expect. All right, so we do have a full class, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So welcome, everyone. This is our Day 4 of our data conference. We have DIY Data Empowerment is the name of this session. I am Kristin Kennedy. I work in the data success team, so we're here to help you be successful. I've worked here for about 8 years and worked with data for many more I won't go into. I also have today to help me Grant Mayer, Todd Kemper, and Brandy Falls, who are going to be helping us go out into breakout rooms if we need to. So it's always a challenge. This is meant to be a hands-on, you guys do the work training, which is always fun when you guys all have different machines with different versions installed. So we're all going to do our very best to help and make sure you can do what needs to do. We have hopefully some plan Bs in case anything doesn't work as expected, but hopefully everything will go great. I'm going to do a little bit of demo kind of thing, and then we'll do the labs and give you time to do that. And then from there, if you get stuck and you'd like some privacy to kind of get some one-on-one help, just let us know and we'll send you to a breakout room where someone can help. So I'm going to kind of go over logistics and introduction to the topic. We're going to create some Google Forms. Each of you will. We're going to do some data cleanup on those forms, and then we're going to set up a process. I'm going to give you a use case of what you might be doing, and then we're going to wrap up. And I hopefully have this link down here, so if I say go to page of the lab, this is the link to where you could get that for anyone who's just joined. So introduction and logistics. This is the title we had for the presentation. Have you ever had an event or a special project and wished you could have a mini application built to help you manage things? So we're going to be doing how to build your own mini application using Google Forms and Alteryx or Power Query for those that don't have it. And we're going to have demo and live hands-on. So data is supposed to make your life easier, not harder. And a lot of times it feels like it makes our life harder because now there's so much to do. But hopefully this will help to let you know. So we're going to be using Google Forms, Power Query, and Excel. The class is written for Excel 2016. So if you have 2013 or 2019, you will see things a little differently. And if you have a question about that, just let us know. And we're also going to be using Alteryx. With Alteryx, if you have a Redshift data warehouse account, that will help. But if you don't, that's okay too. We have a workaround for that. And for Power Query, you don't need that. If there are any Mac users who want to use Power Query, it is not, let us know in the chat because on the Mac, Power Query is not installed on that version, not enough we can use it. So let us know so that we can send you a link to a document that'll kind of help you a little bit, at least get started in it. So we'll start off all together doing Google Forms, and then we're going to choose where you can either go to Power Query or Alteryx. So if you don't already have a BI desktop with Alteryx, you'll want to choose the Power Query option. So if you're not sure, I would go with the Power Query option. And please, if anyone has any questions, feel free to go off mute or type in the chat. So I'm going to kind of do some little bit of demos with some explanation followed by the labs. If you want to use sharing your screen, if you're happy to share with everyone, I'm happy to answer the questions because chances are if you have a question, other people do as well. But we will also send you off to a breakout room to kind of work through any issues. Today's objective is to be able to create your own Google form using best practices for data collection, store that information in a Google spreadsheet, and then interact with that data in a semi-automated fashion in Power Query or fully automated with Alteryx. So that's what we're gonna do today. There's a lot of terminology here. This is all in the lab. So kind of one thing I just wanted to highlight, Alteryx is a self-service analytics tool. If there's anyone in here who wants to see some of it, I'm happy to do some demos as we go while everyone's doing the lab, so you can get a sense if that's something you want to use. You do have to request a special license to using a BI desktop to use Alteryx, but it's a really powerful tool to bring data from multiple places. But with great power comes great responsibility and a higher learning curve, right? But we're also using Power Query, which can do a lot of the same things, but not as automated as Alteryx. So a lot of this it's explained there, and if you have any questions, please let me know. So for our session today, I'm going to give you this use case. Hopefully this is generic enough it can apply to everyone so that we can, this is kind of getting this mindset, and this is what we're trying to create. So you work in a department at ASU, surprise, the most innovative university in all of the United States of America, of course, and in your role, your team is responsible for sending information about what you do. So it could be a PDF, it could be an email, whatever you want it to be. But not everyone needs this information, so I want to send it out only to those that request it. So as a result, you need a mechanism to track that request that people can make online to request this information be sent. By creating this process, you're going to be able to share the responsibility so that if you wanted to go on vacation, you could. We don't want anyone to be a bottleneck. So it kind of allows us a little bit of an automated process. And there will be busy times and you need someone else to be able to help you. So this is our use case. Please embellish in your mind as you want and have as much fun with this as you can. I know it's not the most. So the very first lab, you don't even really have to read, but basically, so if you imagine that people might request something from you, what questions might you ask of them? I'm going to give you 5 that I have in the lab to put in there, or 4. So we'll want you to do those 4, but maybe 1 or 2 extra questions. So if you just want to take a few minutes and think about what you might ask someone that would make it easier to know what to send them. Just for a couple minutes. And I'm going to get my all right. So hopefully you have your questions. So what we're going to do next is we're going to actually create a Google form. And I'm going to just show you a couple of things when you create a form to a way that will make life easier for you kind of moving forward, and hopefully easy for the person who might be filling it out. So I'm going to give you some questions that will help if you create those. Those are going to be referenced throughout the lab, but I'd like you to add a few more if you'd like. So we're going to go to our Google Drive out there that you all should have your own Google Drive, hopefully under your ASU account. And you're going to do New, click on the New button, and choose Google Forms. And you don't need to follow along now. This is all laid out, but just to kind of talk through a little bit. You'll get the form. You can change it up here in the title to say request form or anything you want. You can put a description. This form will be used, kind of what it's for. We'll do that. Then we're going to change our settings, and we want to collect the email address. This way somebody doesn't have to tell us who they are. And also we're going to get the data a little bit cleaner than we might if we let them tell us who they are, because they might tell us in a different way. One person might put in their name, another person might put in their ASU right, and you'll see as we go along how much easier it's going to be if we know what kind of data we're getting. So there's all these different choices of questions, and the lab will kind of go through what they are. Try different ones if you'd like, but we'd like the ones that we have. And you can say restricted to users in ASU. Sometimes that creates problems if someone accidentally is signed in with their personal account, but then that way you'll know that you're getting the right email address. So the first one we're going to do is a checkbox, so people can choose multiples, and we're going to say information needed. And then put in 4 or 5 choices. I just threw in some basic ones, general information, program one, anything you want this to be. You can do that. Then you would click on the plus to add a new question. We're going to do a date needed and make this a date field. And that way people have to choose the date, and we know the date will be in a good format. Some people put year dash month dash date, or, you know, if people are entering their own, the more control we have, the better and cleaner our data will be. And then we're going to put what time do they need this by. We may or may not get it for them by then, but we'll let them ask. And this gives us another way to use some different data. And then last, let's give them a space to put notes, so they can just put a paragraph or anything they want. And so these are the questions that I'd like you to type in. But and then I'd like you to add those others, something else you might want to try and experiment with. So then, once we have the form, we're going to go to our responses. We'll have 0 because we're just creating the form. We can click this little green button here, and we'll be able to create a new spreadsheet for these responses. And if you then click that and say create, you'll notice a new form has been created. That's going to be really helpful to us. Once we have that, we can also click on the design feature, and we could add ASU colors, so we can make this maroon, or we can make it black, anything we want. And then when you click on the little eye, which is very grainy here, you can actually use the form and do it. And what we're going to then do is, once you've created your form, you're going to go through and fill out at least once. And you'll get this note that says your response has been recorded. And then you'll see here that what you filled out will be there. So we're going to take 15 minutes. Please let me know if that's too long, if you need more time. You know, it's always hard. You guys are always so quiet, diligently working, so I'd love to hear from you if you need more time. So let me start our timer and get us going. And like I said, if anybody is stuck or something doesn't look the same, just let us know, and we will and we'll send you to a breakout room if you need any extra help. So we've got about 15 minutes. And feel free to just unmute and ask me a question. I'm happy to just sitting here waiting for you guys. So. And if anybody does want to put in ASU colors, if you don't know already, brandguide.asc.edu, elements of the brand color palette does have the colors, and these HTML codes can be put in there. If you don't, you do have to log in. Sure, Joanne was, Joanne, just to go over the use case again. Basically, we're just, somebody might request information from our department. Maybe they want anything we provide, a brochure, an email or something, and we want to set up a way that they can request it from us, and then we can sort of automate a little bit that process to get it. So Natalie, that's a great question, and we are going to go over that when we get there. We get there asuri.asu.edu, and we're going to do, that's one of the cleanup things we're going to do, and then we're going to get some directory data to get their actual name and department they work in. So that's a great question. Yes. For those that don't know, Samantha Becker works in UTO, and she's our executive director of communications, and she's made a great page for us with all our color palette and everything. And so, thank you, Sam.
Anytime.
Because I can never remember where it is. All right, we certainly have parts that will take longer, so if everyone is feeling pretty good, we could maybe give us about 3 more minutes, maybe give about 10 minutes. But if there's someone that really needs more time, just let me know. So from the color, if you click on the little design artist palette up in the top, when you click on that, you'll see the theme options. And then they give you some kind of pre-built colors. If you click on the little plus sign down at the bottom, that's where you can then add your own colors. So that's where you could add the ASU colors if you'd like. One thing I'll just share also for a best practice, when you are an editor for a form, if you haven't used one before, you can sometimes go to the form that you've saved and you're in that editor mode and you start typing in your answer and don't realize you're typing over your question. So it's always important to make sure you click on that little greeny eye that I have there to make sure you're filling out the form and not editing it. And it's also a good idea not to ever let other people be editors, because they can make that mistake as well. I've learned that the hard way. Okay, seems like we're good. Is there anyone who needs more time? No worries if you do, there's no. Okay, well, let's get started on the fun stuff. All right, so here's where we're now going to split up. So from here on out, you're going to either choose, and I will for each one of these show you which lab you will want and which pages they're on and everything, so that you can then know where to go. So Power Query will be like lab 3, and Alteryx would be lab 6 or 5, I think. So what we're going to do in this next section is we're going to actually connect to our Google Sheet that we just created. So if you're in Power Query, you're going to need to know how to share it properly and get that URL to connect to it. And it's all documented in there. You're going to open Power Query and you're going to connect to that Google Sheet. So for Power Query people, it may be pretty quick. Feel free to start going ahead if you want. Now the Alteryx people in this section, you're going to do a little bit in Alteryx, but mostly you're going to be creating a Google Sheets developer account. So the instructions are in there. What I do want to let you know is sometimes Google changes things, so I apologize if anything doesn't look exactly right. But this may be where if anyone needs a breakout room or if we need to go through it as a group, we can do that. And then you're going to set up your Google Sheets connectors in Alteryx. So for this one, we're going to take about 15 minutes, and here are the pages, the Lab 3 for Power Query, Lab 6 for Alteryx. And you can tell there's a lot more screenshots there. So like I said, if anyone in the Power Query wants to go ahead, then that's perfectly fine. So with that, and like I said, feel free to ask any questions or tell us you need a breakout room. And we'll go ahead and get started. One thing I just wanted to share as well, if you're on that DIY data empowerment training page, there is a little star up at the top. If you click on that, then when you come in, you'll always be able to find it again at your My Content. So, and that's true of any page you find in the portal. All right. So the next section, we have a whole half hour. So I'm going to kind of just talk about what we're going to talk about. If you're still doing that part, keep going, or maybe stop for 1 second and then keep going. And if anything doesn't work, let us know. We'll do breakout rooms. But the next section is where we're actually going to clean up the data. So this is where Power Query is going to spend the majority of their time. So in Power Query, you're going to be duplicating your column, splitting the column, renaming it, changing the data type to make sure you have the right kind, renaming your query. You're going to merge queries. We're going to give you another set of data to get that information like we talked about earlier. And you're going to do a little advanced editor just so the refresh will work properly. In Alteryx, you're going to actually use that connector. You're going to learn about the browse tool, text to columns, select, summarize, the dynamic input, which will be really helpful to you, and the join. Just so everyone knows, the directory services file that's out there and the table itself is a really big file, so you want to be careful with that or you could end up things running for a long time. But if you get stuck at all, let us know. And then, Todd, do you want to help Joanne with her Google export spreadsheet step? Didn't work. Brent,
yeah, sure.
Joanne, we'll
I'm looking for it in the chat. I'm not seeing it, but I can definitely help.
Oh, she actually private messaged me, sorry.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Sam, if you could send Joanne with Todd in a breakout room.
You got it.
Thanks. So that's what we're going to be doing in those sessions. And so like I said, this one we're going to have 30 minutes to do it. So if you still need to finish anything up, and let us know if there's any troubles with that. And we're happy to get you going.
Hey, Kristin. I was on yesterday when you the Power Query stuff, and I had run into the issue of access to the resources forbidden, so I had to download them and work from them from my computer. So now as I'm going through the Power Query, I'm doing the Excel, not the Alteryx. I've gotten to the point of trying to add to the data, and I'm getting that same error message again. And I didn't know if there's somebody who could, in a breakout, show me how to. I feel like it's possibly clearing my cache within Excel, but I don't even know if that's, anyway, it's something that I need to get to be able to reestablish the organizational account and clear out whatever I have.
Okay. Let me get you a, let me get you a link that might help too. For now, I do have this link. If you click there, that'll download that CSV again. And especially this isn't a live file, so that'll work fine. But I'm going to find you a link that might help you be able to enable the service. Could be one thing.
Okay, thank you.
And sorry about that, Kristin. I had to close Crystal and Grant's breakout room because only one room had, anyways, I'm going to recreate it. Apologies. Who should be in that second room with Todd?
Joanne Martinez.
Joanne and Todd. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. It's always fun trying to teach technology while having to use technology, right? And we have to have it work perfectly.
Well, for future notes, I should have made one breakout room empty, just so that way I don't have to, because it won't let you create a new breakout room without closing the first one. Learn something new every day.
So see, we're not just teaching data, we're teaching little Zoom too.
Love it.
One thing I do want to share too, if I have had it before where you go through all the steps to create that developer account and you go to use it and it doesn't work. Hopefully I found all those kinks that make that happen. But just in case, you have a couple of options if you get there to, you can use, instead of the Google developer account, you can use your individual and it'll all work the same way. The main reason you want that developer account is to be able to do, to have it be on the server. So if that doesn't work, if you want to let us know at the end, we can help you work through it, or we can set up a special session later to make sure you've got it working. So.
Kristin, sorry, I'm still on the other one trying to connect my developer to Alteryx, and I am running into an issue with the page 62. So it says go to, oh, there's two different kind of sort of two different instructions on the Google Sheet. After you get your refresh token and you copy it, it says now go to Alteryx, from the connectors menu select Google Sheets. But then on the PDF it says the best way to use Google Sheets is that go to the D drive. I don't know which one I'm supposed to do. I'm stuck there.
What you're doing, you want to go to the link.
I can share my screen if that helps.
Well, here. So this link is where you want to go. So what you're going to do is from that link. Let me. So from this link, there's this, if you click on this link, Google Sheet Files, there's two folders there. And those two folders you want to copy into that D drive.
Okay.
So that's why it's listing the two. So on your BI desktop, you can, if you click the sync button, if you've got OneDrive set up, it should put it onto your desktop. or you can just like click it and then say download.
Okay, that's where I was missing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Kristin.
Uh-huh.
Nazif here. I just finished this step and I copied those files onto the D drive.
Okay.
And what I'm not, am I assuming the next part of at the bottom of page 62, we should be able to see those buttons in Alteryx now?
Yes, if you don't, you might want to just close down Alteryx and open it one more time.
Okay. And
It
will
might
they
have
be,
to kind of reset.
okay, they'll show up in the under the developer tab?
The connectors tab. It's like over on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I see a connect tab. Is that the one?
Oh. Connectors. It's like usually kind of all the way over to the right.
Okay, no, actually, I just had to add it in from the tool into the tools menu. It wasn't there by default.
Okay. 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 And yeah, if you don't see it, you might close Alteryx and open it one more time, and then you should see it.
Okay, it's there. All right.
Okay.
So that's the end
Awesome.
of that lab.
Yeah, now you get to use it.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay, sorry. Me again. Sam again. Okay.
No, good.
So I'm looking on page, and I wasn't going to ask, but then you said, if anyone has any questions, so I said, she asked
No.
for it.
I'm happy to help.
So I'm still on page 62 for the Alteryx side, and I'm trying to follow your breadcrumbs here where it says the D drive, user, your name, app data. I don't have app data folder.
Okay, so if you look, and I probably should have bolded this, if you do not see the app data folder, you click on view, and then there should be a checkbox next to the word hidden items. Right here. And if you check that, then you should see it.
Okay, let's see. D drive. So let's see. No, I still don't see it. Is it? Oh, I had to click into my name. I see.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Into
I'm
your
there.
All right,
Okay,
good.
thank you.
Thank you for the question. Makes me feel useful.
Job security. I like to provide it.
Thank you. So one question I have is, why would someone probably connect to Google Sheet into Power Query? And I will say I thought about that too. Why not just use the Google Sheets in a spreadsheet? Why move it to another spreadsheet? But where hopefully you see the power is that now in Power Query we can join together that Google Sheet with that other directory data. So that's really the power that we're leveraging Power Query. So if we just are connecting to a Google Sheet, we might as well use the Google Sheet, right? But by being able to bring data together from multiple places into Power Query, that's the real power.
So Grant helped me get what I needed, but now I'm not seeing the Google Sheet being converted to Power Query. So I may not have Power Query on my computer. Is that like a thing that could happen?
So it should be part of Excel. Are you using Excel 2019 or 2016?
I have to.
Okay. So while you're looking, if you're in Excel 2016 that you see here, under data, you'll see new query, and that's how you get to Power Query. So it doesn't say the words Power Query, but that's where you would get to it.
And
If you're on,
If you're in 2019,
it's 2016.
okay.
oh, yeah,
I'm
this
in
is
19 and it's
2016.
different.
Yeah. So 19. Huh. Under data, it's over here, get data. Because, you know, Microsoft can't keep anything the same from version to version.
No, it's kind of like the difference between American English and British English, except it's in sign language.
Well, and the worst, if you just said, oh, I'll just click from web, I'm connecting from the web. But no, that doesn't work. You have to go get data from other sources from the web to get to Power Query. So that could be crystalware.
This is really good though, because your directions, even though they're for 16, are super clear. And so I haven't done this in 19 before, so I'm kind of following along and like, I'm getting there, I'm finding it.
Okay,
really
good. Well, and now once the data conference settles, I'll go back and sort of add those notes to how it looks different. They're not massively different, but just enough to throw someone off.
Just enough that I like.
Yeah. So we have about 9 minutes left. I know there are people who are further back, and that's okay. So at about 11, I'm going to move to the next lab for anyone who is ahead, but I'm happy to stay here till 11:30. We'll work it out. And also, you guys will have this lab now to go at your leisure, and you can always ask analytics or any of us, or Slack me personally, and I'll walk you through any piece if you guys get stuck. So don't feel rushed. And if you guys are interested too, we may do some follow-ups for this going forward, especially now that we're getting a little more experience with this virtual business. We might be able to schedule some of these for the future with a little bit more time to dedicate to it. Just also, you're working another thing to consider, the Power Query. We did teach a class yesterday, but we can also offer that. Also just strictly Power Query and how to connect to data, so that if you find yourself always downloading data from a report, cleaning it up, sending it out, using Power Query is a way that you can kind of do that automatically and not have to go through all those steps every time. Just do it once, get it how you want it, and refresh. So we'll look at offering that as well.
Kristin, is there a way to find your refresh token if you accidentally closed the page and thought you saved it but you didn't?
Yeah. So you'll go back to the, let me get the link. If you still have open the screen.
I have the I can share my screen if you don't mind.
If you still have this one open.
Let's see.
in my opinion, that was in the spin. I know there was a way.
I have the screen open where it tells you that, you know, we have the web client 1.0 off 2.0 client IDs. I have that
Okay.
open, but I can, should I just start from there?
Well, let me go to that one too. Yeah, nothing like a live demo to go through pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
So your projects, you should be able to find the projects. You'll notice I have quite a few. Because I tend to create a new one each time. I believe.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay,
There.
let me just. Okay, I think. Let me find it and then I'll. It's secret.
Yeah, I have a question.
I think you.
Sorry.
That's okay. Just real quick, Samantha, if you go here and put in your client ID again and your client secret and say close, kind of follow those steps again, it should show it to you.
I'm sorry, where did you click? I missed that step when you got from the last screen to this screen.
Well, they're two different. You want to go to that OAuth playground.
Oh, the
link.
playground? Okay.
Yeah. I'll put it in chat. All right. Someone else had a question?
Yeah, this is Chad. I had a question about the directory data, the information that we connected on here. Is that information that we can use at other times? I'm fairly new to using these right now, so that directory data we used in the lab, is that data that we can connect with now, or is there other data that we should be connecting with, or is that something that like a conversation I can have with somebody later?
Sure. So if you did it in Alteryx, did you do it in Alteryx or Power Query?
No, I did Power. I did the Power.
Okay. So that file I created one time. So it's not being refreshed. That file's out there. You could use it, but it isn't being refreshed on a daily basis. But we are working diligently, and that's certainly something we could talk about. We're working on a new sort of area called Dash, where we're going to have a lot of different data sources that you can connect to. So that's certainly something we could think about, sort of having that in there. The biggest caveat with that is it's a really big file. So, you know, you got to treat it nicely or else you can lock things up. But we can certainly talk about that and adding that in there. I think there definitely should be somewhere where you can kind of cross-reference ample IDs to ASU right, things like that.
Okay, great. So then another question along those lines. So it would be advantageous to use Alteryx, or does it matter necessarily? Just kind of depend on what you're wanting to do.
So Alteryx, you could then connect to our Redshift data warehouse where that table is in there and it's always updated. So then you'd be able to pull it in right now, today, that's out there, and you could use that query I gave you, or you can write your own, whatever fields you want. So it's just the Power Query. We would need to get that file refreshed on a nightly basis, and we would coincidentally use Alteryx to sort of schedule that refresh, and then it would be out there to be used. So it would just take us a little bit, nothing insurmountable. I mean, we have it out there right now to just get that. So we'd want to make that part of our Dash project. And Brandy Falls is the person that you could talk to about that.
Okay.
I love that idea. And Kristin, I was actually just taking a note to chat with you about getting the employee data landed in Dash as soon as possible. So
yeah, and I have another one too that has a little more HR data we can talk about too.
that'd be fab.
Yeah,
We'll
so
sync up after.
the reason I've been participating in all this because I've used my reports heavily over the years, and and I really want to learn these newer systems so that I can capitalize on these tools to continue doing what I need to do or I'd like to do. And so this has been very helpful. Working through the lab,
Great.
sometimes I get a little bit lost, but then after going back and checking things, then I'm able to find what I need to find. So, but it has been very helpful. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay,
Awesome.
so our time is up, at least for that lab. We still have 10 more minutes. So I'm just going to talk real briefly. And then what I will do for those of you that are using Power Query who maybe want to get a sense of Alteryx, I'll go ahead and just kind of show you what I built. So you can kind of just see and decide if that's something you want to pursue. But so the last part, again, should be pretty quick with the Power Query. And this is just how you're going to kind of build that Excel table and kind of add a new column where you can check off that it's done. And that way you'll always know that it's done. You're going to just go add another record into your form so you can see that when you refresh it, it all comes in. And then the Alteryx lab, then it gets a little more complicated only because you want to make sure, right, when you write this to a new sheet where you can track it all, but you check that you already have it. So you're going to kind of use the Google Sheet output. Not only can we input data from Google Sheets, we can actually push it to a Google Sheet as well. And you'll find out how to get the new records joined. And again, I know we only have 10 minutes, but I'll stay longer and we can do a follow-up to this as well. So you have 10 minutes, but again, I'll stay. So keep going. And then for those who kind of want to see, I'll just show you. This is kind of meant, Chad, you mentioned you'd use my reports, and sometimes when I show Alteryx, people might go, it's scary, but I imagine what someone just brand new to my reports might think, right, if they open that up, that it definitely, it's all scary till you know how to use it, and then it starts to make sense. But just, again, to kind of walk through for those who are using it, we have a Google Sheets input. In Power Query, we split the columns. Here we do what's called a text to columns, where we can just have it split it basically by the @ sign. We have a select tool where we could rename things. We can put a description. It's always good to describe what you're building as you build it. We use the summarize tool, and one of my favorite features in here is you can concatenate data together, so we can get a list of all the ASC rights that have been put in. And we can kind of put some brackets around it. We can then send it to the SQL, and here's where we do that directory services data. Because that is such a large file, without doing it this way, it would take really long to run. We then kind of join it all back together. This join tool is really great. You get a left, a join, and a right. So you know kind of left is all the records that don't match one, and right are all the records that don't match the other, and J are the ones that match. And then what we're going to end up doing is putting it into a new Google Sheet. So we're going to pull that Google Sheet we've built in here to check, did I already put that in or not? So from here, that's where we now want this left. We want to know the ones that don't match, and we put it into the Google Sheet. So then this runs, it says, here's the data I got. I'm going to add a little more data. Did I already put it in? No, then put it in. And that's that. And then this is one of the cool things you can do in Alteryx that you can't do in Power Query, and that's email. So we can kind of build a little mail merge right here in Alteryx and have it send out emails to people. In this case, we're sending it to ourselves because now there's records we want to be alerted to. So that's just a really quick sort of intro to Alteryx and what it does, so that if this is something you're interested in pursuing, you would need a BI desktop, and then there's a ServiceNow request to add software to BI desktop, and you would pick Alteryx, and we can add it. I will let you know that we do have limited licenses. Right now we're still good, but if, and we are going to be looking at usage. So if it's something you're not sure you want to use, let us know. We could maybe arrange for a trial to kind of get a sense if you feel like it's something you'll use, because we do want to make sure people who are getting it are actually going to use it. So that's that. And then while you still have time, I just want to remind you at the end, and this is also on that page, please go get a badge for the data tools. Hopefully you've gone to some other sessions, so you can get that badge to show from Aramil, our Titan of transformation, so you can show all that you've accomplished this week. And please go to ask_analytics Slack channel or the ASU data community. Let's keep this discussion going even after the conference, and let's keep going. And don't forget to celebrate all the great people out there that have been getting you data or things you've been doing or stuff you know about. So with that being said, you still have time, so I don't want to kick anyone out, but if you do need to go, I certainly understand. So there you go. Again, here to answer questions. Thank you, Brandy.
Thanks, Kristin. That was an awesome lab. I think the fact that I was able to stumble through while keeping, half an eye on the chat and the activities, it's a testament. So,
all right.
Really good lab, really good instructions. Hope everybody had a great time. And very calming too. Like, this was the most calm, like relaxed. It's like a spa lab. Like, really good. There's nice Hawaiian music in the background. Like, very awesome.
Thanks.
And thanks everybody who's participating, especially folks like Chad who are learning and upskilling so we can move forward with sliding ourselves right off of my reports and into the 21st century. We're super grateful you guys are taking the initiative because it is going away. It really is. It's happening this time.
Yeah. And Brandy, I think Sam might have made you host now. She's left us. So.
Okay. Pressure's on.
Oh, no, she made me a host. Sorry. I didn't.
We're all good.
So
I have a quick question.
Oh, look, somebody else does too.
Okay.
Good, nice.
So my question is, in like lab 7, when we went through the whole process of setting up through the developer account through Google Developer and building that API connection, would that be necessary anytime we want to connect to Google Sheets, or can we just simply use our own user login to be able to grab that data and push data out into Google Drive?
So as I said earlier, and you can use your individual or your user login, that's fine, but you have to run that manually. It doesn't have a refresh token, so you're kind of always having to put in your password. So where you really need it is if you wanted to schedule it to run. And at the end, there should be a link to a document on how to do that. And maybe if we'll do a longer session, we can go into that. But so the developer login is really for scheduling, so that you can schedule it on the gallery and in the server, so that you don't have to be putting in your password for your ASU Write while it's running on the gallery. But no, you can run it yourself just to kind of pull and push. If you want to do that, you can do it with your user login.
And then like the setup that we did today, I saw that it actually was able to see all the documents that I have in my Google Drive folder. So would this be like a one-time token I can use for all of my ASU related Google Drive information?
Yep, you now have access to anything you have access to. I will say that it does not work very easily with shared drives. So if somebody else created something and put it in a shared drive, that tends to, the Google account has trouble. There is a workaround that you've got to do encoding to do that, but otherwise, but yes, anything you created, anything that someone shared with you in your drive, like you can use it for any of those. You don't have to just use it for what we created. It's there for anything now.
Oh, that's awesome. No, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Did someone else have a question?
Yeah, so my question's probably very simplistic, but
That makes it easier. Good.
I'd be able to wrap my head around it better. So
Okay.
pretty much, and I am so new to Power Query. I'm new to the other one,
Alteryx.
Alteryx.
Yeah.
And so what I'm hearing you're telling me is that my reports is going away, and so those would be the two options to use. And since Alteryx is licensed, has a finite amount of licenses, it would be better for me to possibly use Power Query or learn that better. Is that what I'm hearing you guys tell me?
So, you know, I don't want to just tell you, but it's kind of up to how you use it. So the upside of Power Query is in Excel. You can start using it today. It's there, but you're kind of dependent on someone else creating data sets that you can connect to. But it's pretty easy to use and you can go fast. Alteryx, you don't have to wait for anyone to create that data set. You can go create that data set. But then you have to know how to do that. And Alteryx can be a little bit more, it's more powerful, but it's more complicated. So it's really where you're feeling and where your need is. What we're really working hard with a lot of the people who created those My Reports queries is to get those data sets ready for you to be able to use Power Query and do everything you need to do. If, though, you really need to be able to get into the data warehouse and build your own stuff, then Alteryx is definitely the tool. So, and if you wanted to sit down with us and show us some of the queries you're using, do a consultation hour, we'd be happy to set that up and we can look at what you specifically do and really make sure we answer that question.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, and the suggestions are wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you go to analytics.asu.edu, there's a request consultation hour under the support, and you can request it and we'll reach out to you and schedule something.
Thank you.
Great questions. I just put the link to the analytics portal in the chat in case y'all aren't sure where to find us there. If you click on the knowledge base, it'll take you to a lot of articles, many of which Kristin has curated and put together, so they're wonderful training. And you can also scroll there to request a consultation.
Scott, I saw has a question on the advanced editor. Sometimes CSV files, I think it's just the different versions of Excel out there. They tend to have trouble. So that's kind of why you'd want to be able to do that. And I've had problems refreshing the data because I haven't made those changes. So I wanted to make sure that was in there so that if it's refreshing, fine, then you don't have to worry about that part. But just in case there's a refresh error, that would be why. Hopefully that answers your question. Hi. And feel free, anyone who does need to go, you're welcome to go. We appreciate your time today. And thank you very much to Grant and Todd and Brandy and everyone for your help.
Just a quick question, not related to the lab, but to Alteryx, as far as the licensing is concerned. So when I go in and get a message, when I go into Alteryx and I get a message that asks about the license, it asks for like designer only or designer and scheduler. Is there one of those that, am I supposed to select one of those, or what am I supposed to do when I get to that point?
Are you on your BI desktop?
Yes.
So that means you've already requested Alteryx, actually.
Right.
Okay. And we definitely need to work on this process where we send you that license and that information. So, Chad, I will send you the license key that you'll put in, and you just want the designer only.
Okay.
But we'll get you that license here in a little bit, and then you can go. You just paste it in, and you make sure you put your email. address so that we think on the cloud environment, sometimes if you don't have your email, it doesn't work. So I'll send you that,
Okay.
and then you'll be good to go.
Perfect. And then, so the email address, should that include, is it just the regular email that I would use, or is it should we be adding the like username at asuright.asu.edu?
No, just your regular email address.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Uh-huh. And we do have some training documents out on the portal as well. Just to show you. If you go. If you go to analytics.asu.edu/training, you can also request consultation hours from here, and then training documents. And we have a training on how to do the emails, an introduction, on scheduling, on building a workflow. So we have those trainings out there already, and we have a great relationship with Alteryx themselves, and they do brown bags all the time. So there's a lot of resources out there. I think I'm going to stop the recording. I think we're good, Brandy.
Go
I
for
don't want to
it.
miss any important questions, but I think we're
I think we're good.
all right.